I have a huge Yellowjackets reveal that nobody is talking about. Meet us in the 300 building at Tuesdays at 2 o'clock.
Nobody would show up.
I have no idea because I certainly wasn't there.
Oh, that's evil. I bet you people were just sitting there in their underwear just going like...
I hope so.
Okay. Are you loving balls in front of your face?
It's very heartbreaking. The writers need to do this. It would make so much sense, and it would totally satisfy so many people. There never was a Javi's friend.
I'm the one gay man out there that hates musicals. Oops, there goes that. Welcome to Seaview Circle, our recap podcast in which we review our favorite television shows and movies from the past, present, and possibly the future. And that includes Yellowjackets.
Indeed, it does. So what we are doing today, actually, we're doing something we're calling Yellowjackets Revelations. And let me set the stage for you. You may have been wondering why our episodes have been maybe a little less frequent the last 6 to 8 weeks. That's because I've been having to travel out of state repeatedly to go assist my parents having some medical issues. So I've been having these long drives, and in order to have those pass by quickly, I've been listening to a lot of podcasts, including our own. I thought, gearing up for our coverage of season 4, whenever that eventually drops, I should listen to everything that we said during our coverage of season 3. It was actually very interesting because obviously there are all these theories that come up when you're watching Yellowjackets, and during the season of the recaps, we were able to sort of course correct some of them, or, say one was true and one wasn't true. And all
I was going to say too, and one of the things was when we recorded those, we would literally record them straight after watching the show. So sometimes, even after that first initial view, you might change your mind the second
Exactly. So what was really interesting when I'm listening to all these podcasts, especially as I got closer to the end of the season, where there were less episodes for us to then course correct these thoughts, some of these things I'm like, oh my gosh, we got this totally wrong. We got it totally wrong. Or there's just another way to reinterpret it if you look at it a different way. So that's what we're going to kind of do today is we're going to go through some of these things that maybe we got wrong. This is this current push of us to correct what we've said in the past. We did this with the Extra Jackets Audit version 2.0, which has either already aired or will air next, depending on how we edit this. So you're going to be my sounding board here. If I say some of these things, you're going to say, oh, dude, you're crazy, right?
I love saying that, so that's good. I do have some reminders, though.
Okay.
I'd like to just say, please like, comment, and subscribe over on YouTube or Instagram or TikTok, wherever you like. You can also message us at seeviewcircle, SEEVIEW, @gmail.com.
Right, and that is where this week's Postcards from the Edge comes from. Doug, would you care to read this? This is from April Z.
Sure. I enjoyed your What You Packin' Costumes episode. That cabin video you put out to promote them, where you give packing tips for your trip to the Nationals, was adorbs, but left me feeling nosy. Wondering if either of you two have ever played team sports before, IRL or at school. Thanks for another great episode, April Z. Well, hell no. No, I was really anti. I mean, the only team sports that I ever played, which was not in school, was I got thrown into playing Little League baseball. And I was terrible, and I hated it.
Yeah.
But so I was a marching band geek. So that's how I fulfilled my gym requirement. You had
that's a gym requirement?
Well, they threw it in with gym.
I guess
when it was marching band or whatever. So you were able to get credit a lot of the time for that.
Okay.
Which is great. Maybe I played tennis. That's about the only sport. I did take tennis lessons.
Yeah.
I can at least serve the tennis ball, so that part is good. And skiing. So fair enough. Very gay sports, I guess.
Well, I have news for you because aside from Little League, T-ball, I did all that, which I absolutely couldn't stand. The only team sport that I actually enjoyed playing was soccer.
Oh.
I played soccer. Yeah, Do you know this?
Well, I would say soccer is about the only team sport that if I was going to engage in, I would have.
I tell you, I actually enjoyed it. I did not play it for very long, because I had a very traumatic experience playing soccer very early on, right? And I must have been like only, I don't know, 7 or 8, something like that. And at one point, somebody kicked the soccer ball and it went right in my face, on my nose. And as soon as the ball dropped, I saw all the blood all over.
Changed his life forever.
The soccer ball. And it changed my life forever. In fact, it was so traumatic that it actually ended up in a screenplay that I wrote many, many, many decades ago.
Oh.
But isn't that ironic that now I'd be loving a TV show about a team of soccer players and there's so much blood involved?
Well, I mean, I wasn't going to even mention the fact that, are you loving balls in front of your face?
Well, that's conjecture. You don't know.
You're scared of balls.
Maybe not. But I will say that I do love sort of a soccer look, and I enjoy watching gentlemen play football.
Oh, yeah.
these
I will
days.
say this, too. You
There's
do
the socks,
tend to like those
shorts.
soccer socks. Soccer,
Yes.
the big knee-high socks with, like, the bright color
The short
stripes.
shorts.
Yeah, the short
So now,
shorts.
while everybody's like into this heated rivalry and that whole thing, I would say not so interested in the hockey, but I would definitely watch people play.
Why don't they just do like that's a really good idea. They should be doing the soccer reboot. I mean, in England they like rugby a lot too.
Right.
Because of that, but
It's
anyway.
that contact. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like it's got a cross between wrestling and soccer, but it takes it to another level. Anyway, that's enough of that.
That's
right?
enough of that. Thank you very much, April Z. That is a great question, actually. Okay, now let's get into the revelations, okay? Let's start it off. Are you ready?
No, just so you know, I don't know anything of what he's going to tell me here. I really don't.
I have a huge Yellowjackets reveal that nobody is talking about. There never was a Javi's friend. There's no Javi's friend. There's not a human who's
You're
Javi's
bursting
friend.
my bubble, baby.
Javi's friend was either a bird or a rabbit or maybe just a weeping triangle. Okay, let me explain.
How did you come to this conclusion?
All right. Well, let's start with where Javi was during the 2 months after Shauna told him to run, during the doom coming when they were hunting his brother because they thought he was a stag, right? Where did Javi go?
He went to that secret cave.
Right. And how do we know that he went to the secret cave right then?
That's where he was captured. Right.
Well, yeah, he was captured somewhere around there, but we know that he had to go somewhere immediately because in the very next episode, and I think it's the very next day, we see Jackie die because it starts snowing. It's the first snowfall of the year, and she dies in one night being stuck out there in the wilderness, right? So Javi had to have found somewhere where he had shelter from that cold. Otherwise, he would have died as well.
Right. And of course, that cave, if we recall, the outside of the cave had all that like moss and dew as steam or whatever.
Steam.
It was like a natural kind of, yeah.
We didn't really know, right? We saw earlier in season 2, Natalie was marking up the map. Remember when she was going hunting with Travis? And they stop at that stump with the steam coming out of it, right? So why are the writers showing this stump with the steam coming out of it? It's like a practical clue because steam suggests there is heat, right? Being trapped somewhere. And they need to give you a reason to believe that this young kid, Javi, is still out there alive when he comes back later in the season. Of course, we didn't know that at that time. Now, it's a misdirect also for the fans because do you remember at the time when we saw this, we thought, oh gosh, there's like these tunnels. Remember? We thought there was tunnels.
Thinking a secret world under there.
A secret world?
The underworld.
Well, remember there was the Lottie's visions in season 1 where they had the tunnels and there were pipes along the side where you assume there is some steam or water going through them.
Yeah.
That's when the deer's walking by. So we thought that there was like, I don't know, mining tunnels or maybe like some underground bunker.
And of course, we've got all that like hobo. What do you call it? What's the technical word?
The hobo code.
Code, yeah. So like that suggested that maybe people had been mining there. I remember we were all kind of going in that direction.
Right. And where did we see this stump before? Well, off of her pharmaceuticals, but currently hopped up on mushrooms, Lottie finds that stump in the doom coming and she sort of like zones in on it, right? Mm-hmm. And then in the very next episode, after the bear comes to the camp by itself and kneels down and she kills it and they all have a meal, she presents the heart to this stump.
Right. I
Right?
remember that. Yeah, it's like the offering.
Right. And I don't know if it's like the same stump. That's something I can't quite verify because remember when we were in Vancouver in the forest, there were a lot of those stumps that look almost similar, right?
Wait, I'm curious too, in that timeline too. So when she gave the offering of the heart, Javi was already gone.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So maybe Javi ate the heart.
Oh my gosh, that's
he was
interesting.
hungry.
That is interesting. Because if you remember in season 2, when Javi dies
Right.
and Shauna brings in his meat to the Yellowjackets, it's Travis who eats Javi's heart to sort of signal that it's okay for the rest of them to take part.
Right.
Now, we see this another stump or the same stump. I'm not sure. Lottie kind of goes over to it sometime in season 2, and there's like talismans and amulets hanging. So this is definitely like our Yellowjackets shaman Lottie tapping into the wilderness energy. But what is this energy? Well, we know in season 3 what it is. Let's first get back to Javi, where he's been, right? When after Ty and Van discover Javi near this stump, they bring him back to the cabin and he's mute for an entire episode, right?
Yeah.
But after Coach Ben finds his drawings on the floor in episode 5, he asks Javi about them. And this is the season 2 scene that is the origin of this question, who is Javi's friend, right? Because Javi says, she told me not to go back there. And he says, who? And he says, my friend.
My friend.
But that's it. That's all that is said.
That's all we get from him.
During our coverage of season 3, we had the, remember this? Remember this whole thing?
Oh, yeah.
The theory list?
Yeah.
We wondered, okay, perhaps Cody was Javi's friend, but it doesn't make sense if Javi tells Coach that she told me not to come back here, right? So then we thought, okay, maybe Javi's friend was Cabin Daddy's daughter grown up, and at the time we didn't know who Hilary Swank was going to be playing, so we thought maybe she was Cabin Daddy's daughter grown up, and this was Javi's friend. But then, of course, we found out that Hilary Swank was playing adult Melissa, and I feel like at some point we even said that Crystal was
Right, I think we thought
friend.
maybe Crystal's down there.
Doug, that doesn't make any sense because Javi returned before Crystal had actually fallen off the cliff and her body went missing.
Okay, all right.
Right?
It's hard because
I know.
This is all jumbling up.
I
now.
know.
I don't remember all the timelines.
I know. So later in season 2, this is episode 8, Ben is still curious about those drawings. And he's also looking for his own refuge because he's becoming increasingly more and more isolated and castigated from the group. So he studies the maps that he and Natalie worked on earlier in the season, and he looks for the roots or something that could be what is shown in Javi's picture. And then by the end of the episode, he finds the tree with the steam coming out, and he enters into the cave. And the writers purposely show that there are some bones.
Right,
that
remember
are
there's lots
scattered.
of little, I don't know if they're they look like bird bones or chicken bones. Who knows?
Well,
Maybe bat bones.
Probably the bat, right? Because
Right.
that's what Coach Ben and Mari have to eat later in season 3, right?
Okay.
So when we got to season 3, one of the big questions on here was Coach Ben talking to Javi's friend? And in the end, we confirmed that no, he couldn't be, right?
Yeah.
Roll the clip. Roll the clip.
Roll it. I still think that there is something that must be going on. There's got to be a person there
This has
that
to
we've
be a
not
payoff.
seen.
It has to be a payoff.
Yeah.
They can't leave this one dangling. Okay?
No.
Now, was Ben talking to Javi's friend in the cave when he was mumbling, when he was there with Mari or whatever? I don't know. Mari would have heard that. Overnight, somebody else toiling around in the cave. So I'm going to say no. I'm going to say Ben was not talking to Javi's friend in the cave. And in fact,
he was just talking
when we
to
did a poll, people said no, there's no way. So we're going to cross that off. So in that moment, we thought, no, there's no way. He was just talking to Paul again, like he was doing in the cabin. Right? The writers didn't properly show us that prior to Ben's demise, he was talking to Javi's friend. But here's the thing. They actually did. Okay? Coach Ben was talking to Javi's friend. Okay?
Okay.
Or rather, the same source that conjured up Javi's friend and Akila's llama in episode 3 of season 3.
It's the noxious gas.
Yes,
So
right.
that's the friend.
Javi was simply having hallucinations, just like Shauna, Van, Akila when they got separated
Right.
from the group, right? And most notably Ben, right? Because he's been staying in the cave for a long time. And So was Javi. He was in there for 2 months in this cave, heated by geothermal water or steam or whatever it is. So he was huffing on these noxious fumes.
And maybe, you know what? Maybe we should be looking up about bat guano.
Ah,
See if bat guano makes you like.
that is so true, Doug. Remember
sit
when
here,
we were,
look that up.
no, remember when we were in India and we went to those centuries-old temples and they had all those bats in them, and you walk in and you'd be
disgusting.
like, oh. So that definitely could mess with your mind as well. So,
Well, I mean, I know that stuff is very dangerous for your health.
Yeah.
In general.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
You have to wear a
The same
mask.
thing with the bird guano, bat guano, whatever.
before the pandemic, the last time we'd worn a face mask was when we were going to India, going
that's
to those
right.
temples. So I think what was happening here is that, Javi was bored out of his mind, okay? And he had the sketchbook. Do you remember that in season 1, he was kind of interested in Shauna, you could tell. So she gave him a sketchbook and he was always drawing. He was kind of like an artist, which is why people thought that he was definitely Adam Martin, right? But he was probably sitting there bored in the cave. He was tripping out on the fumes and he was drawing whatever he would see when he'd pop out. So maybe he saw the bird in his drawings, or maybe he saw the rabbit in his drawings. And so maybe these were his friends who told him not to go back there, right? It's like, as bizarre as Akila's Dr. Dolittle, inspired vision of the llama was, this was the moment that the mystery of Javi's friend was solved.
Okay. All right. I'll buy it. I mean, by season 3, I can go with that theory.
Right.
But at the time when we were doing it, we were like...
I mean, it was a major moment where you're like, what was that? Yeah. What was that? So, yeah, Coach Ben was talking to Javi's friend. Javi's friend is the llama, but really the bird, or maybe the rabbit, or the triangle that is weeping in his drawings. Javi's friend is no one. It is Vapor.
Okay.
Now, the reason why this is so important that they established the Vapor at the beginning of season 2, well, actually, maybe even earlier in the Doom Coming when she's touching that stump, Lottie's touching the stump, is that ultimately the visions from the Vapor is what allows the Yellowjackets to be rescued, right? Because if Akila hadn't gone into the cave and had the vision about Ben being the bridge, then the Yellowjackets would have killed him earlier.
Right. They would have eaten him like day 1.
Exactly. They wouldn't have kept him alive long enough to eat him only when the froggers were in the general area and could smell the smells and hear
the
their
Korean
wailing.
barbecue smell.
Yes. It's so good. It's so good how it all connects from season to season. Now, what I would love to see in season 4 to bring this all full circle is a bittersweet sequence where Mrs. Martinez picks Travis up from the airport after the rescue.
I got breaking news on that one.
Oh.
I just actually saw this morning. So they have announced an actress, Alex Castillo, is Mrs. Martinez.
Oh, my gosh.
So we know what's going to happen is in season 4, she will be making an appearance.
Yes.
So that'll be interesting.
Well, this is what I need to see. I need to see the two of them having this moment, right, after the rescue, and then maybe in another episode down the line, Travis suggests to his mother that they need to tell them. Okay? Ooh. So then what happens is she says, I can't do it. So Travis has to go to Coach Martinez's side piece's house, right? We don't know. We're making this up at this point.
Right.
But we need to go get to this point here. So Coach Martinez had a side piece, which is why he was having marital problems with his wife in season 1. We saw that in the pilot. Travis goes there and he tells this woman that his father, or, her ex-boyfriend, whatever, baby daddy, is officially dead. Then Travis visits with Adam.
Okay.
And gives his half-brother some of Javi's drawings from the fire, right? Drawings that later inspire Adam's tattoos as tributes to his long-lost half-brother.
Wow. I think you might have it. Because that was the thing that people have been trying to tie together, too. When we saw that Adam Martin was like, that was eerily similar to...
The tattoos were so similar. They're so similar.
But obviously, that was, 20 years before. So I don't know how old Adam Martin was, but he was probably like maybe 30 or something. I don't know.
I would say he was maybe younger than Shauna, younger than Travis. So he's going to be, maybe born at the same time as Javi. I don't know. That would make that connection pretty
Yeah, that makes
significant,
sense.
wouldn't it? If
And you get
Javi
thrown
and-
because of the timeline. You get a little bit.
And
like,
the other
you
great
know.
thing is that the guy's name is Adam Martin, and the father's name is actually Martinez. So I just think that, like, here we are in the season 4. We know this is the final season. We need to see some of these story arcs coming full circle from season 1 to season 4. That would make what happens in season 1 at the end when Shauna kills him so impactful, especially since Javi, when he was younger, certainly had a crush on Shauna.
Yeah.
It's very heartbreaking. The writers need to do this. It would make so much sense, and it would totally satisfy so many people who felt that Javi was
Well,
Adam
Ashley
Martin.
and Bart, if you're listening,
I just wrote the scene for you.
he just wrote this scene. Okay, that was free.
Okay, all right, let's move on. Speaking of visions and the stumps with steam coming out of them, all that stuff, during Shauna, Van, and Akila's shared vision, right, of the classroom in season 3, episode 3, Lottie is the school teacher. Why is she the school teacher? We were kind of wondering, like, what's the significance?
Because she's
Why
the
is she there?
cult leader. No.
Yeah, well, yes, because she is schooling the others on how to connect with the wilderness.
Yeah.
Whether it be via the mushrooms, right, with Akila and Travis, or with the cave vapors that allow the Yellowjackets to receive these Oracle of Delphi-like visions.
You know what they would call her in the olden days? In the 60s, they would have called her a travel agent. They would have said, who's your travel agent?
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Oh my gosh, that's I might have to like do
Did
a
I
slide.
talk to you about my trips when I was in college? I was trying to start a psychedelic.
A travel agency?
Well, it's a psychedelic club. I wanted to find a group of people who were into psychedelics because I was very interested in psychedelics. And so I came up with this concept of trips, a new kind of travel club. But I don't think I ever did anything with it. I probably made myself a flyer or whatever. But that college was very boring. So I was just looking for like-minded people.
Yeah.
But I ended up joining the punk rock club instead.
Do you know that in high school, this is going back to the 90s, because I went to high school in the 90s, I came up with the underwear club, and I posted flyers everywhere. But here's the catch. There were no meetings. I just posted the flyers everywhere.
And did they have like a number, like call 976?
No, but it would be like, meet us in the whatever 300 building at Tuesdays at 2
And
o'clock.
nobody would show up.
I have no idea, because I certainly wasn't
that's
there.
evil. I bet you people were just sitting there in their underwear just going like,
I hope so.
okay.
All right, so going back to this theory here, we thought at the time that Lottie was kind of like the Freddy Krueger, because in the visions that Shauna, Van, and Akila were having, they are each forced to face their fears, right? But here we are now saying, or I am now saying, that she is a teacher because she is the shaman who's teaching them how to use these mind-altering substances, and she is also the Freddy Krueger, which taps into all these film references that were woven through that episode. All right.
Good.
This is in a different episode, okay?
Is this another revelation?
This is kind of a revelation that actually factors into what we were just talking about, which is high school, okay?
Okay.
In our What's Your Packin' Costume special, we talked about how Crystal wears a Music Man t-shirt in episode 4. And we never seen it before. We never noticed it, remember?
Yeah, I never noticed it the first time around. I only noticed it when we started going through the fashions. And then it was like, I was literally going like frame by frame.
So here is me. You can see this here. In the 90s, I was in a production of The Music Man in high school. So if I had gone to Wisquiack High School, I might have been in the musical with Crystal.
It would have been with Crystal.
Mind blown.
And you
Mind
probably
blown.
would have been around the same age.
Right.
Maybe. Yeah, a couple
Should have been a little younger.
She's a little younger.
But can you imagine me being in The Music Man? She would have been on the back of their shirt, on the cast list. Crystal!
Let me tell you
Crystal the
something.
Pistol!
She probably would have been one of the kind of those loony toony friends, the ones.
I bet you she's a Disney fan. You
She's
can
a Disney
imagine
girl.
she knows she loves Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, and Little Mermaid.
Totally.
So I played a character named Charlie Cowell, and I guess I'll throw up a little image right here, right now, of what that is, what I looked like in that.
Light a rose, oh, light a rose, oh, light a rose.
Oh my gosh, that is so good, Doug. You are missing the pork
I don't have the
hat,
pork pie hat, but that's okay.
I think that's a good tribute. I think you are underestimating your ability to be part of a musical theater cast here, okay?
I've actually never really been into musicals at all. I'm not at all. You know, I'm the one gay man out there that hates musicals. Oops, there goes that.
Okay, we're going to move on to the next revelation. Well, this is actually one that we had before, but we completely shot down. But when I'm listening to our podcast again from the season 3 recaps, I'm like, well, why not? Why can't this be? Why can't Shauna actually be Hannah's child after all? Okay, let's rewind back to Hannah's DAT recorded message to her child, right? His name was Alex, right? Even so, couldn't Hannah still be Shauna's mother, right? There is a resemblance, right? And there was this distant casting notice back in season 3 that said that Ashley Sutton was going to be playing Shauna's mother. So maybe Hannah's child was given up for adoption because it was the product of an unwanted teenage pregnancy. And what if the adoption records for Alex were somehow mixed up? We don't know anything about Shauna's mother and father. Perhaps Shauna was adopted.
Well, we've got a spoiler alert here because they've just been leaking photos of Sophie Nellis and her mother for season 4. She looks just like her.
Yeah.
So,
okay. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. That's a far fetch.
I think you're right. I think you're right. She does look. In fact, when I saw that photo, I thought it looked like Ashley Sutton, which is ironic because I thought Ashley Sutton and Sophie Nellis.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe you could figure something. Maybe there's
probably a way to write around that, but I guess this is the thing. It would be cool if that were the case, even though it is so wild because. Obviously, Shauna is from New Jersey, and here they are stranded in the middle of the wilderness that these froggers just come to, and she's, whatever. But it would make for some really interesting, again, story arcs like we were talking about with the Javi and the Adam, right? Because if you remember, there's a moment where Shauna's listening to the tape in the bathroom alone, and she just starts crying.
Right.
It really touches her.
No, I mean, I understand what you're saying, and it could really feed into the storyline. It would fit very well.
Yeah.
Do you remember in episode 10 when they were doing the card draw and Shauna was clocked into what was going on? She knew the cards were stacked against Hannah, and she came in and intervened. So maybe that was a way to save Hannah.
Right. She did it.
Intuitively, she knew, even though she doesn't know.
Right. There's also the moment when Shauna first sees the Froggers come at that Thanksgiving feast. Her expression when they come in is very different from the rest of them. There's almost like a familiarity there. Like, even if she doesn't know, you know what I mean?
And let's just say we haven't seen this yet, but we're pretty certain that Hannah's character is going to be killed off before the rescue.
Right.
So what if Shauna is the one who killed
Hannah? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and then it's just later on she finds this out when she gets back. That would be really brutal.
Right.
Well, anything's possible in television. Listen, we just watched that Palm Royale season 2. Okay?
Yeah. Anything's possible.
Anything's
from episode to episode. Anything's possible.
Exactly. So,
Okay. All right. Well, this is actually the last one I have for you today here. Okay. This was from the last episode. And if you remember when we were talking about Full Circle, we saw it also live in a screening, actually, which was exhilarating.
Yeah,
right?
That was really fun.
But what was the one sequence of that finale that we weren't quite as sure of? Do you remember? It was the Lottie dying sequence, right? We felt like it was just a little rushed or a little forced, like it just didn't have as much oomph as the rest of the episode. However, if you look at it in a different way, which I'm about to explain, it does give it a little bit more, beauty. So let's transport ourselves back, okay? We look back on our coverage of Full Circle. It's clear to me now that Teen Lottie was not envisioning the Antler Queen, a day or two before she helps the others create that look for Shauna. Okay? So let me explain. It's established in season 1 that when she's off her meds, Lottie may have a problem with sleepwalking. Okay. In Blood Hive, Jackie is goaded by the others to pitch in more. And so they send her to the lake to fetch water. And when she gets there, she finds Lottie standing, waist deep in the water in her pajamas.
Right.
And she's like, how did I get here? Right. We also know that Craig and Anna's fab season 3 song was called Sleepwalking, right? We know that adult Lottie is sleepwalking in the Janeway building before she wakes up in the basement wearing pajamas.
Right.
So it was adult Lottie who was having those visions of the Antler Queen in her own dream. A dream that, after the young teen Lottie version of herself wearing one of her favorite outfits, the faux rabbit jacket, she screams looking at the Antler Queen. And then it segues into this scene in a morgue where adult Lottie is dead. We see her also wearing a different outfit than what she actually ends up dying in, right? In her vision, she's wearing that same white robe that she wears in the vision from season 1, where she's going through the tunnels, which at the time we thought was some kind of mining operation,
Right.
but actually was the basement of the Janeway.
Yeah.
So it's not adult Lottie envisioning what actually happens. It's her envisioning what she think may have happened
Right.
in the dream. Am I making any sense?
Yeah,
Okay.
it makes sense.
And then we also see, obviously, another version of teen Lottie wearing another one of her favorite outfits, which was that pink kind of cashmere sweater with the pink pleated plaid skirt, right?
Yeah.
And it's in
Say
that
that fast.
Yeah, exactly. And it's in that moment where she asks young Lottie if it's not too late to meet her. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
We thought at the time that she was referencing the spirit of the Antler Queen, and that the spirit of the Antler Queen was the wilderness baby. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
Shauna lost in season 2. Roll the clip. Roll the clip.
Roll it.
I gotta say, the thing with the baby crying, I just keep going back to this weird concept that I think.
I know.
My concept
I know.
possibly is that the baby that died is the Antler Queen. That's what I'm thinking.
Ah.
Is that this was that spirit that was of nature.
Uh-huh.
And
I feel that totally makes sense. Okay, but that makes no sense because Shauna's stillborn baby was a boy.
Oh, yeah.
So how could the spirit of the Antler Queen be the boy? Like, why did we not catch that?
I don't know. It's like in the moment, you're kind of like, let's face it, it was very exciting
Yeah.
right after you're watching it. And
Right.
it's just you get spun into all these different directions and everybody else is throwing in
Right.
comments and going like, oh my God,
Yeah,
did you
yeah.
see this? So like, you can get very carried away.
So anyway, in that sleepwalking dream, adult Lottie is recalling back to the heightened version of what she envisioned Shauna was out there in the wilderness as the Antler Queen, and that she and the other Yellowjackets created in that final scene of Full Circle. Now, this is like delusional, obviously, because Lottie and perhaps, Ty, maybe Britt and Robin were the only ones who were on board with Shauna at the time. The others who were dressing her up as the Antler Queen had already turned their backs on her, right? So this whole idea of the Antler Queen, it's really for a night. You know what I mean? Shauna's the Antler Queen for a night, ultimately. It's all a ruse, really, because half the people don't even believe in her at that point.
It's just at that point, they're just all going along with it.
Yeah, because they were trying to distract her, possibly even get rid of her during that hunt so that Nat could run off and use the sat phone to call for help, right?
Right.
So when adult Lottie asks young Lottie, did I miss it? What she's referencing is meeting the daughter of the Antler Queen, right? Callie. Because Lottie's dreaming that she's already died before the meeting that she'd already set up in real life with Callie, who is coming to meet her to ask about the DAT tape and what really happened out there with her mother, right?
Right.
So the producers and the writers, they pulled the wool over our eyes again by staging it as a dream that was coming from the young Lottie, because that is the order of the scenes, right? But it's clear once we hear the disassociated baby crying that they are referring to Lottie missing the meeting with Callie, because in season 2, Lottie was clearly obsessed with Shauna's baby, and she was claiming that it was the Yellowjacket's baby, right? Not just Shauna's, and she kept wanting to talk to it. So clearly, Lottie was in awe of Shauna and thought she had, great power.
Right. And do you remember at the end of season 2 when they had in the adult timeline when Lottie is shot by Callie to protect Shauna? After that happens, Lottie says, Callie has great powers.
That's right.
So it's like that whole thing. She's just obsessed.
And of course, we know that Lottie does not miss the meeting with Callie, but she still ends up meeting her demise because of it.
Yep. Whoops.
And I think the interpretation of the sequence then, does give it a little bit more poignancy that we missed the first time around in all the excitement, right?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's the way it was intended to be viewed, but it was confusing a little bit the way the scenes came, because it came right out of that moment in the camp where they were kind of going through with the torches.
Well, I mean, let's face it, we were all thrown for a loop
Right.
because it was just like, oh my God, Lottie's gone.
Right.
That was just shocking. Another major shock. And I guess Callie ultimately finished off what she attempted to do in season 2, which is get rid of Lottie.
Right. Even if it was accidental or, self-defense, she ended up being the person who ultimately kills Lottie. And as the daughter of the Antler Queen, in a way, she's harnessing her mother's power. And
The bloodlust, baby.
Right.
Yeah.
It's that legacy of Shauna is what, ultimately does Lottie in. That actually factors into one more thing I wanted to talk about that I had forgot was on my list. We kind of talked about it before, is that the Yellowjackets will continue to eat each other, okay? We were talking again in our coverage of episode 10 in reference to Shauna's sort of like rock bottom moment, right? Where she's in the kitchen, she's swigging the vodka, she's heating up a Hot Pocket in the microwave. It's like, it's really sad.
And the husband and the child are gone.
Right. So I think we had kind of mentioned this, that it's really unfortunate that Shauna did not get the DAT tape and the letter at the time it was first delivered, because it set up the events that ultimately led to the deaths of both Lottie and Van, right? So this interference, some of it was coincidental, I guess, shows how the Yellowjackets' horrific experiences out there in the wilderness, it truly haunts them. And it causes a lot of them to be so messed up and wired in a different way, right? It's like in the current timeline, it seems they all continue to eat each other. No pun intended. Well, I guess in the case of Shauna and Melissa, the pun is intended. But they're doing it even when they don't intend to. And that's why a reveal that Adam Martin may have been a half sibling to Javi and Travis would also be really satisfying in a tragic way. So I guess ultimately the question still remains, Doug, which is who will be the ultimate Yellowjackets survivor?
Well, and I know we've talked about this before, but I feel like it's going to be Misty.
I still think it's going to be Misty.
I think it's going to be Misty.
Which is weird because you definitely see Shauna as like the central character of this show, but would that be satisfying if she's the
Well,
final
I
one?
think somebody wrote something as a little fan theory, and I thought it was kind of a funny ending would be, if Misty's the sole survivor, then you kind of end it and she ends up being in the rest home, just like where she's been working, and, of course they're treating her terribly or whatever.
Someone unplugs the life support on her.
Unplug her
Whoops.
life support.
And that's it.
Whoopsie. Sorry
That would
about
be
that.
funny.
Yeah,
that
I mean,
would
that
be
would
funny.
be cute.
That would be a cute callback to the very first episodes. That would be smart. Oh,
Yeah.
that's
Oh,
good.
you better be listening.
You better be listening. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed this little conversation here. Let us know if there are any other revelations that you have had since the airing of season 3 as we gear up for season 4. It's been very exciting to see all of these little casting announcements.
Yeah, and I bet you we're going to find out more in
So
the next
much
few
more.
days, too. It seems like
So
every
much more.
day there's more pictures of who's in this trailer and whatever.
Right.
So, like, there's more characters being cast. And I think the one thing I'm going to just predict right now is that I feel like the wilderness is not going to be as big of a part as we think it is in season 4.
Yeah.
I mean, just because of all the ground they have to cover.
Right. They may not go back there at all.
Yeah, maybe it'll just jump timeline. You
Yeah.
know, like that. It could
It
just
seems
start.
like the first day of shooting, they were already in the real world, I guess, because it was like those hospital scenes they were kind of teasing or something.
Yeah, because you could just imagine it opening up and it's where they arrive at the airport.
Because that way they don't have to go back to the cave and get Aquila out of there. They can just explain it, whatever.
And then the other thing is this, that some people could be missing and we could find out later on what happened to them.
Right.
You know,
I mean, I
it's-
kind of would want to see the deaths of, say, Robin and Britt, and certainly Hannah. I think they owe that for
Yeah.
sure. And I guess, we know that they're going to be doing some terrible things once they get back. And that's, of course, what this season is going to be. It's going to be them eating the rest of those people, maybe figuratively or literally, I don't know, but getting rid of whoever doesn't survive into adulthood. We're going to see that in the teen timeline. And then in the adult timeline, I'm assuming we're going to get down to
the ultimate
only
survivor.
one person. So very exciting. One other thing I want to see, though, in season 4 too, which we have not mentioned at all, is what is the Walter connection as well.
Oh,
that is something I need to see because they left that really interesting.
I'm still thinking he's related to Kodiak.
That
would be my
That
guess.
could make total sense.
Yeah.
And that would be a good way to kind of close out his storyline because he was around there more than, say, Edwin. So that would be good.
Yeah.
I think that would be good. All right. Well, thank you for joining us for this episode. What is next? Well, if we haven't already aired it, we are going to be showing the Extra Jackets Redux. It's our Extra Jackets Audit version 2.0. If it's already come out, you can visit that right here. And then also we are going to be returning to Knots Landing soon as well. That is season 3. The first 2 episodes we'll be covering. We're going to be recording that very soon, Doug. So get ready.
Oh, great.
But in the meantime, we want you to stay hungry, friends. We will see you then back on the sack.